It's snowing. Hello and welcome to Festive Fun Day 11. It was snowing so nicely outside, but unfortunately it never stuck because it's just been so rainy and wet, so the snow wasn't able to stick, which is very unfortunate, and it also made me super lazy this morning. It's actually afternoon. It's probably around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw the snow and I just got lazy. There's always something about the first snowfall of the year, and it just really makes me be like, ah, winter. So it's so hard getting out of my pajamas this morning, but I have showered, I put on my makeup. This is the new lipstick that I got yesterday, and I love it. It's so different from what I have. It's different and it's interesting, but I think it's perfect for fall and winter. And yes, so that's exciting. I'm probably going to go and take the box to the post office today and then do schoolwork because I'm so close yet so far. 5 more days of work and then that's it. Hopefully I can make it down to 4 or 3. So I gotta focus. So I was just about to head out the door when I remembered, oh yeah, I wanted to write them cards and write them letters. So I guess I will just sit inside and do schoolwork all day and then write the letters tonight and print them and send everything tomorrow. Too bad I already had the box all taped up and everything. I completely forgot. So on to schoolwork. So basically, sorry that I'm not going to be doing anything except for work, and so that's pretty boring to film. So instead, I want to talk to you guys about, in case you don't know me before you saw this channel, I love books. And so I think books are a great gift to give people, and I want to talk about my book gift recommendations for kind of everyone. I have read all of these books and I don't see someone who wouldn't really like them as long as they like this certain category, if that makes sense, certain genre. So the first genre that I want to talk about is mystery. If the person that you are giving or thinking about giving a book to likes mystery, I suggest 2 things, and that would either be depending upon their age range. If they're younger, Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew is always a good thing, and I read Nancy Drew quite a bit when I was younger, around 5th grade or so. So what, 10? Granted, I didn't read all of her books. I think I only had up to 22 of the books, but there's a bunch of franchise things that you can always go along with it. There's the Nancy Drew computer games, which I still really like, and just a whole franchise of Nancy Drew, the books and the games, and then there's I think graphic novels. So yes, Nancy Drew can just kind of go with everything. If the person likes mystery and I think I read the first book around 8th grade, so that would be 14, I think, around 14, and I started reading Agatha Christie around that time, and it is an adult novel, but it's easy enough, I think, for around 14 to understand or higher, and the books are by the author Agatha Christie, and the 2 books that I would recommend by Agatha Christie are Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None, because the plot twists in both of those books are freaking amazing. And I then read her other series books. There's the Hercule Poirot? Hercule Poirot? I have no idea. I'm not French. I don't know those things. But he has kind of a series, and there's another detective, Miss Marple, has her own series, and Agatha Christie has a lot of books, and I read quite a few of her books maybe 5-6 years ago, and I had to take a break just because when you read anything for too long of a time, you gotta kind of have a break, and I'm getting that itch to read Agatha Christie books again, so that's exciting. The next genre is adult romance. And if your person that you're thinking about getting books to kind of likes a little bit more of the adult trashy romances, then I would suggest anything by Sarah McLean. I love her, and they are adult books because they do deal with adult themes and there is some sexual scenes in there. However, they're not very too explicit. They're not like erotica or anything. And but I do love the overall storylines, and the each story is, I mean, you kind of get to a point in the adult romance category where they all kind of have the same formula. But however, Sarah McLean's writing and each character is so unique and different. She has like 2 different series, and they take place in kind of like the 1800s London. So I love Sarah McLean, and I would recommend them to anyone who likes kind of adult romance. The next couple books are all technically adult books, but they are also something that young readers can also read, and I mean like young, like YA, like 15 up, 15, 14 up, and that is number 1 is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I just finished this book and it is so amazing. Good for both guys and girls, young and old. I enjoyed it. I recommended it to my parents, and I would recommend it to anyone who is looking for a really interesting book. I did a talk about it, a non-spoilerly talk about it in my main channel, so I will put the link to that if you want to know more about it and have superpowers and evil twisted stuff, and it's great. So I will put that down below in the about section so you can go ahead and watch it if you want to hear more about it. The second book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. This is more of a philosophical book, and there's also philosophy in it. It's a pretty short book, and it's kind of split up into 2 different parts, and the first part is talking about the author's experience in a Nazi concentration camp and kind of like the whole what is the meaning of life thing, and through this story he comes up with his own theory of what meaning of life means to people and how to obtain this meaning of life. And then the second part goes on to the psychology of it, which is actually really interesting and not boring at all. Like I've read both sections and highly enjoyed both of them. So if maybe you have a more academic reader that still enjoys fiction, maybe this is a good thing. It's small, probably a good stocking stuffer book, and it kind of deals with both fiction and philosophy and psychology. The third book is Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, I believe. And Ishmael, if you have an environmentally friendly person, I would recommend Ishmael. It's one of my favorite environmental books, just because in the fact of a lot of the time for environmental books you get non-fiction books, and depending upon your likings of non-fiction, it's just kind of either you really like it or it's just kind of more dry to you. And this is a nice environmentally friendly book that is fiction, and it talks about men's place in society and in the world. The next 2 books are adult fantasy, and I'm not sure if one is technically adult, but I would kind of classify it as adult. The first book though is Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. If you have a very avid fantasy reader and they haven't gotten into Game of Thrones yet, or even if they like the TV series and they haven't read the books, get them the book, because they're both equally amazing in their own rights, and I love them both for different reasons. But if they like the series, they will probably like the book, and so just get it to them and just tell them to start reading it. It is adult though, because there is language and there is some sexuality scenes. The second book that falls into the category, and I actually haven't read this one, I'm sorry, but it's Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings, and or at least the movies, and I want this problem of not reading Lord of the Rings to be remedied soon, but I would still recommend it to anyone who is a fantasy reader and hasn't gotten there yet. There's so many other fantasy books that I want to read, but because I haven't read them, I don't want to tell you about them. But there's The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss that I want to read, or the Mistborn series that I want to read, and those are both like adult high-end fantasy. So maybe look at those. Maybe. Alright, now for YA. If you have a young adult reader who, or like a teenager, in case you don't understand what kind of classifies as what YA, teenager, but also, I mean, I'm 23 years old and I still really enjoy YA. And I also do think that there's different types of YA, if that makes sense. Some YA is geared more towards the teenies, and then other YA is kind of focused more towards the older teens. But anyways, off of that rant, YA contemporary. So the first YA contemporary book that I would recommend is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't think I've ever read or heard of a person who hasn't liked this book. Everyone that I know who has read it has given it like 5 stars or like 4 stars and just really loved it. It's a really cute book. Also, maybe if you have someone who's going to be a college undergrad, a freshman next year, this book takes place as a person who is starting their freshman year of college. So maybe that's a good little starter package, you know? The second contemporary book is one that's kind of more for the younger teens, but also something that I do enjoy. Might be just for memory's sake, but I do enjoy it at this day and age. And Sarah Dessen is very well known in the YA contemporary genre. And my favorite book of hers is The Truth About Forever. So yes, it's a good book. And now into young adult fantasy. I have, again, 2 books that I would recommend, and the first one is The Demon King by Cinda Williams-Chima, and I loved the book series. I don't even know how to describe it, but they're amazing young adult high-end fantasy novels, and I mean, I personally haven't run into a lot of people who have read it, but the people that I know who have read it love the series, and so go check it out and see if it might be something that they enjoy. I also think that this, sometimes when you get into YA, I think a lot of it sometimes is more geared to girls, and I think The Demon King appeals to both boys and girls. The second YA fantasy book is The Clockwork Angel, which is part of the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. And oh my god, this is one of my favorite series ever. So that's my recommendation. It's amazing. And lastly, I have one more book recommendation, and it's more for middle school kind of age, and that is Anything by Tamora Pierce. Tamora Pierce is an awesome fantasy, like middle grade writer, I would think, and I loved her books. Everyone that I, again, know and talk to has loved her books, and there's so many different things, and she has so many different books and series and stuff out that once the person likes Tamora Pierce and gets to know Tamora Pierce, that there's so many books for them, and it's like a gateway drug, basically, to reading. Not to anything else, to reading. Personally, my favorite book by Tamora Pierce, or my favorite series, is Wild Magic. My second runner-up is The Song of the Lioness. So yes, go and check those out. It is going to be a lengthy list, but down below in the About section, I will have by categories all of the books that I mentioned, and I will have their Goodreads page, or maybe I'll put their Amazon page. Yeah, I'll put their Amazon page just in case people don't have Goodreads. I'll put the Amazon page down below in the About section to each of the books mentioned, so that way you can go and check them out and maybe get one of your loved ones or friends or someone that you feel obligated to give a gift to a book. Again, I'm sorry, I know that today was boring, but I hope this might help you, and you can go to your local Barnes & Noble or Amazon and pick up some books, and I hope this kind of helps. So I'm gonna go get dinner, and I'm going to edit this, and then I myself am going to read. I'm gonna have a glass of wine, and I'm going to read and relax. But I will see you guys tomorrow for day 12. And so close to Christmas, like it's only December 12th technically, but then you're like 13, or today is I guess technically the 11th. So you have 14 more days till Christmas, and we're almost to day 14 right now. So that's pretty fast, and that's pretty dang exciting because, favorite time of the year. And it was snowing today, so my day was made. My day was kind of crappy, but the snow just made it a whole lot better. Anyways, enough of me rambling. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!